Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome here to the launch pad and our live launch coverage of the 51st Electron flight from RocketLab Owl for one for Owl, launching from the Mahia Peninsula in New Zealand. We are now coming up to 25 and a half minutes and counting till launch. Things looking good for today's flight. We're just waiting for RocketLab to begin their live coverage so we can get that beautiful pad view from New Zealand, and then we'll be patching that in and beginning full commentary coverage. If you haven't yet, though, take a moment. Let us know in the chat where you're watching from. You can keep sending in your comments and questions in the chat as well, and we'll be answering those while we go through countdown to launch coverage and our full commentary coverage starting in just a few minutes. Take a moment, hit that like button, share out the stream, invite people to join us. T-minus 25 minutes and counting till launch. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome here to the launch pad and our live launch coverage of the 51st RocketLab Electron launch, launching from New Zealand in just over 18 minutes and counting on the Owl for One, One for Owl mission. And if it's your first time here, though, welcome. My name's Zach. I'm the founder and host here at the Launchpad. Here at TLP, it's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow, because we believe that space is better together, and we're glad to have so many of you joining us from all over the world. We got Stephanie in Australia, Plow is in Louisiana, Sharon's in India, Chris is in Canada. We got me Grimlock in Tennessee, got Andrew in Tennessee as well, Carl's in Greenland. Great to have you here to let us know in the chat where you are watching from. If you haven't yet, take a moment, engage that like button, share out the stream. We're going to listen in to Rocket Lab Mission Control before we get to your comments and questions for our latest status update. Let's listen in for Mission Control.
Here in New Zealand, and we're thrilled to be joining you for our 51st mission. What you're looking at right now is a live view of our Electron rocket, ready for launch from Mahia, New Zealand, as the countdown to liftoff continues for our mission partners today, Japanese Earth observation company Synspective. Launch is scheduled this morning for 4:39 a.m. local or 16:39 UTC. My name is James Rattray.
And I'm Likita Satarsala, and we're joining you from Rocket Lab Mission Control in Auckland, New Zealand. Launch operations have run smoothly overnight, with no blockers across the launch vehicle, launch pad, or payload on board. The weather is looking clear, and the team remains on track for an on-time liftoff in about 17 minutes. The payload onboard Electron today is the latest satellite and constellation being built by Synspective, a Japanese Earth observation company deploying a constellation of synthetic aperture radar, or SAR satellites, designed to produce images that can show millimeter-level changes to the Earth's surface from space. SAR is a type of imagery that uses radar waves to map the Earth's surface. What bounces back to the satellite sensor is used to determine the distance between the sensor and the object and create a map of measurements of that surface.
Rocket Lab has been the sole launch provider for Synspective's constellation to date, and this latest mission continues a lasting and trusted partnership to deploy their Strix constellation to low Earth orbit. Here's more from Synspective.
And if you're just joining us, we are counting down just over 16 minutes and counting till the launch of Strix 5, also known as Owl for One, One for Owl. This is the first of a bulk buy of 2 Electron launches for Synspective to deliver their Strix satellites to low Earth orbit. Strix satellites can collect data with a ground resolution of 1 to 3 meters and a swath width of more than ranging from 10 to 30 kilometers. Each Electron launch will deliver 1 Strix satellite to orbit. This will be the overall 5th Strix satellite launch by Rocket Lab, but this is the first of a pair of 2 on a singular contract. So 1 satellite per Electron, but the 5th one that they've launched out of 6 that are currently contracted, and that 6th mission expected to come up in the very near future. As always, if you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat by taking us at the launch pad, and we'll work on answering those live while we continue through the final minutes of the count. The range is looking good. Of course, teams are always monitoring the weather conditions. At this time, they have closed the sea and airspace around the launch site in preparation for flight, and Electron is well into propellant loading of those super chilled propellants in preparation for flight. In the next couple of minutes, we expect to have that final go-no-go polling through all of the teams as they get ready to enter into terminal count. That normally occurs between the 12 and 13 minute mark, as the terminal count begins at T-minus 10. So that is what we will be listening for, most likely following this video that they're playing currently from Synspective. But it gives you a great idea of just how detailed this satellite is able to take pictures of our planet from low Earth orbit, giving you some idea of what these satellites can do. This is the 51st Rocket Lab Electron mission in its history, the 9th of 2024, meaning they've launched twice as many rockets as United Launch Alliance. We're already at the 140th orbital launch attempt of 2024. Take a moment, let us know in the chat, how high do you think that number is going to reach? Do you think we can still hit that 200 mark by the end of the year? Do you think 300? Take a moment, guess what you think the total for 2024 will be. You can keep sending in those comments and questions in the chat. We'll be answering those as well, but let's listen back in to Rocket Lab Mission Control.
The name for today's mission is Owl for One, One for Owl. A bit of a tongue twister there, which discontinues our streak of naming Synspective missions with an owl theme. That's because Synspective satellites are named Strix, which draws from the scientific name for an owl. Owls have highly developed hearing and vision, allowing them to forage even in total darkness and being able to see at night. Very similar to these SAR satellites.
Now, this mission for Synspective was actually brought forward in our schedule of launches on Electron this year, which when just a few days before launch, the original customer for our 51st mission asked to move to a later launch to complete additional testing for their spacecraft. Now, responding rapidly and being flexible for our customers is nothing new for us, so with rockets at the ready, we were able to leapfrog to Synspective and get them to the pad sooner. Now, flying dedicated means customers have flexibility over the launch schedule so that their satellites aren't left behind if they miss a launch deadline like on traditional rideshare missions. This is our responsive and tailored launch service with Electron at its best, demonstrating a win-win for both our other customer and Synspective.
All right, coming up next will be the go, no-go poll for this mission, run from Mission Control by our launch director, Julia Wimbacher. They will check in with each operator on console for the go, no-go decision on whether to proceed towards liftoff, based on the status of each system that they're monitoring. We're looking for all goes from our operators to move forward. Let's pull up the audio channel from Mission Control now to listen in.
To all operators, LDN mission code, we are proceeding now with the go-no-go sequence. Stage.
Stage is go.
Avionics.
Avionics is go.
GNC.
GNC is go.
Recon.
Beacon is go.
T1.
T1 is go.
GC.
GC is go.
PLS.
PLS is go.
RSO.
RSO is go.
MET.
MET is go.
MM.
MM is go.
And LDSUP.
LDSUP is go.
The go-no-go sequence is complete. We are currently T-minus 11 minutes and 21 seconds in counting. We go for the terminal count order sequence at T-minus 10 minutes. From this time, the 3-word hold procedure is in effect.
There we go. Music to my ears. Our no-go poll is complete, and the team have confirmed that they're ready to continue through to launch for Synspective's mission. Our target liftoff time for this mission remains set at 4:39 a.m., now just in 10 minutes and 48 seconds.
Today's mission will be our 51st Electron launch and the 5th time we've taken to skies for Synspective, whose first launch on Electron took place way back in December 2020. During that mission, we launched the very first satellite in Strix constellation to low Earth orbit, where it continues till date to provide images of Earth that can be used for urban development planning, construction and infrastructure monitoring, and disaster response. Let's take a look back at all of the Synspective missions we've since launched to date. Like we're doing again for today's launch, our team has created a custom expanded fairing that encapsulates Synspective's wide-body satellite on Electron. We'll also be performing an advanced mid-mission maneuver with Electron's kick stage that will shield the Strix satellite from the sun and help to reduce radiation exposure ahead of payload deployment.
And we have plenty more missions with Synspective to look forward to after recently signing our largest launch agreement to date with them for another 10 launches. Just a couple of months ago in Tokyo, Japan, our founder and CEO, Sir Peter Beck, met with Synspective's founder and CEO to announce the agreement, which comes on top of 2 other launches for Synspective, one of them today's mission, which had already been booked to launch this year from Launch Complex 1. Now, including the missions we've already completed for the company, that's 16 launches in total that are on the books for Electron and Synspective. With these dedicated launches on Electron, Synspective has control over the launch schedule and the deployment parameters for each satellite, allowing them to build out their constellation on their terms.
And speaking of tailoring things to our customers' needs, you might have noticed the fairing for this mission looks a little different than usual. The bubbles or bumps that you see protruding from the standard fairing are specially designed to accommodate the unique shape and form factor of Synspective's satellite. It's not the first time we've tailored an Electron's fairing to meet customers' needs. If you've been watching us closely, you'll occasionally see extra tall ones, extra pointy ones, and on occasion, slightly bubbled ones like this one. Being able to tailor our fairings to mission-specific requirements opens up the range of spacecraft we can fly. Just another way Electron has changed the game dedicated small launch.
Now, a huge part of our business these days is more than just launching satellites. It's in building them and the parts they're made of for our customers all over the world. Most recently, our space systems team hit a really exciting project completion. They've completed the build, testing, and integration for 2 satellites headed to Mars for NASA in just a few short months. These twin spacecraft are part of the ESCAPADE mission to Mars, where they'll measure plasma and the magnetic fields around Mars to help scientists learn more about the planet's climate evolution.
We've built these spacecraft for the University of California, Berkeley Space Science Laboratory. So in reference to their college colors, these satellites are named Blue and Gold, or the twins as our teams like to call them internally. Scientific missions to Mars can sometimes take a decade or more to get from idea to reality to launch. But our team's been able to produce Blue and Gold in just 3.5 years. Almost every part of satellites have been built at our sites across the world, including the composite structures and propellant tanks, solar panels, star trackers and reaction wheels, RCS system and satellite radios to communicate home from Mars. We can't wait to see them arrive to Cape Canaveral for launch vehicle integration in August. The countdown to Mars is on.
Now, while missions to Mars require deep expertise, sometimes it's not all about rocket science. And for some of our open roles in rocket and satellite production, it's not all about being a rocket scientist either. As we scale up our facilities and take part in bigger missions, we're looking for people to join the team on our factory floors, helping us to supply the satellite industry and build the rockets that'll take them to space. If you have the drive, willingness to learn, and some translatable skills from other industries, then we want to hear from you. All of our new production team members complete our RocketLab Academy and are trained on the ins and outs of our vehicles and systems and processes. There's a place in space for you, or at the very least, in our production facilities to help us get there. So check out our website for some of those open roles in production today.
We're now in the final moments in the countdown to liftoff. Very soon, in T-2 minutes, the rocket's flight computer will take over and run through the final launch preparations and actions. The team will continue loading Electron with liquid oxygen into its first and second stages. At T-minus 1 minute and 30 seconds, when the propellant loading is complete, we should hear a call-out from Mission Control that LOX system is in circulation. Soon after, we can expect Electron's first and second stages to be fully pressurized and ready for launch. The clock will continue counting down, and at T-minus 10 seconds, our launch director will begin the countdown to liftoff. Let's hand it over now to Mission Control.
Avionics LD.
Sequence 58 is complete.
Copy, thank you. To all operators, LD and mission code, from now on there should be no red flags on your critical LCCs. Avionics, LD mission code.
LD avionics.
Disable the loom heater and confirm.
Disabled, confirmed.
VCON LD mission code.
LD VCON.
Lock the auto sequence and confirm.
Locked.
And VCON, please confirm that all expected primary flight computer ASCOs are green.
Confirmed. Green.
To all operators, we are go for auto sequence start at T-minus 2 minutes. LD is go for launch.
All vehicles fully on internal power. AFTS is green, enabled for flight.
LOX load is complete. System is in recirculation. Anti-geysering is disabled.
Stage 1 and Stage 2 tanks are pressed for flight.
High flow engine purge enabled.
And T-minus 20 seconds and counting. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff.
Beginning the jump.
Stage 1 propulsion nominal.
Our 51st Electron rocket is soaring off the pad and on its way to Space Force Inspective. Electron is quickly coming up on its first mission milestone to pass through the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure against the rocket, otherwise called out as Max Q from Mission Control. We'll We'll listen out for that now.
Electron is supersonic, approaching max Q.
HVB discharge nominal.
Cleared max Q.
That was the call we were waiting for. Electron has cleared max Q and is continuing nominally on its journey to space. We're now past 18 kilometers in altitude as the rocket reaches speeds of more than 2,300 kilometers an hour. Up next will be 3 actions that take place quickly one after the other. The first event is MECO, which stands for the main engine cutoff. This is when the Rutherford engines on the bottom of Electron slow down before shutting off completely in preparation for the second event, stage separation, which is when the largest section of Electron separates and falls away from Electron's second stage. Soon after that, the Rutherford engine on the second stage lights up and the mission continues, with the third event called out across mission control comms as second stage ignition. We'll be able to watch those actions in real time from the rocket's onboard camera and hear the call out from mission control, which should be coming in shortly.
30 seconds.
"15 seconds to staging.
Entered burnout detect mode.
MECO confirmed.
Stage separation confirmed.
Stage 2 ignition confirmed.
There we have it, a successful MECO, stage separation, and second stage engine ignition for Electron and Spectre. Electron is traveling at more than 7,600 kilometers an hour and now at 102 kilometers above Earth. Our next launch event will be the separation of Electron's fairing when the nose cone splits and falls away, exposing Spectre's strict satellite to space for the first time.
Fairing jettison succeeded.
You saw it there yourself and heard it from mission control. Electron's fairing has separated and we have a nice clear view of Spectre's satellite in space. The mission is continuing nominally so far on its way to its 543 kilometer orbit.
Guidance is nominal.
Now, Lakita, you're the structural analyst for this mission. Can you tell us a little bit about what's required for launching into orbit?
Sure. So in short, our team works on ensuring that the rocket would survive the harsh launch loads. For example, the new custom fairing that we talked about before would change both the structural and dynamic loading on the vehicle. In other words, the force and vibrations the rocket would experience throughout flight, like at max Q. And all the components on the vehicle also need to be tested to these loads. So our job is to define these loads and analyze the strength of the vehicle and components within to make sure they can handle them. We're coming up now on the battery hot swap for the second stage Rutherford engine. This occurs when the engine switches over to a new set of batteries to power its electric pumps once the first pair are almost out of energy. Once the swap is made, the old batteries fall away from Electron, and sometimes we can see these shiny silver packs on the screen as they fall. So let's keep our eyes on the screen and listen in for the call that battery hot swap has occurred.
Hot swap successful.
Battery jettison confirmed.
That was a call that battery hot swap is confirmed. For those of you who have seen a few of our mission broadcasts, you will have noticed some new hardware on the second stage, which forms part of our new generation battery system for Rutherford engine. We redesigned the batteries to introduce more resiliency into the system and improve its electrical performance, allowing for an increased payload capacity on Electron.
Stage 2 propulsion holding nominal.
AFTS is saved.
The mission is continuing nominally thus far at 7 minutes and 35 seconds into flight. Now, if you take a look at the dials on the top right of your screen there, you can see Electron is accelerating past 19,000 kilometers an hour on its way to Mach 16. But what does that mean? Well, it means it's fast. Really, really fast. Orbit is basically a constant state of falling. So in order for us to try and combat the force of gravity trying to bring us down, we have to exceed speeds of 27,700 kilometers an hour.
T plus 8 minutes and 20 seconds into the mission, and we're coming up shortly on the second stage's final actions, cutoff of its Rutherford engine, called out as SECO, which is then followed by Electron's kick stage separating off this Inspective's payload. Callouts from the operators in mission control should be heard shortly, so let's listen in.
SECO confirmed. Stage 3.
And there we have SECO confirmed by what you see on your screen and from the operator call out in mission control. The kick stage with Inspective's payload has also successfully separated and is now entering what we call a coast phase. With the kick stage released into an elliptical orbit around Earth, it needs to complete a half lap of Earth before it can be propelled onto a circular path by the kick stage's Curie engine. Once in place on a circular Earth orbit, the kick stage will be ready to release Inspective to its destination in space amongst its constellation.
From Earth to orbit in 9 minutes and 7 seconds. Not bad really, is it? We'll take a bit of a break on the webcast while that first half lap is completed, but we'll be back with you to take you through payload deployment and the end of the mission in about 45 minutes. So we'll see you back here soon.
And if you're just joining us, Rocket Lab successfully launching Electron from New Zealand, now in a coast phase awaiting payload deployment, set 57 minutes, 12 seconds into flight. You can keep sending in your comments and questions in the chat, and we'll work on answering those. Make sure to engage that subscribe button so you never miss another live launch coverage. Join the TLP Discord to get notified anytime we go live or post space news articles or updates. And stay with us as we count down and await the deployment of the 5th payload as part of the Inspective constellation. Stay with us.
podcast of RocketLab's 51st Electron launch, a dedicated mission for Japanese Earth imaging company Synspective. Less than an hour ago, Electron launched off the pad at Launch Complex 1 in New Zealand at 4:39 a.m. local time. From there, the rocket has made its way cleanly through the usual launch milestones like max Q, first stage main engine cutoff, stage separation and ignition on second stage engine, followed by SECO and stage separation again, but between Electron's second stage and the kick stage that's carrying the Strix payload.
That kick stage was released to space on an elliptical trajectory, and it needs to be on a circular path around Earth to accurately deploy Synspective satellites. Now, the kick stage's 3D printed little Curie engine was ignited a few minutes ago to circularize this mission's trajectory. To keep the mission on track, soon that engine will shut down to allow the Synspective satellite to be deployed to orbit. Coming up soon will be Curie engine cutoff and payload separation for the Strix satellite from the kick stage. So let's turn up mission control comms and listen in for those confirmations.
Curie engine cutoff confirmed.
Target deployment orbit achieved.
A successful Curie engine shutdown for the kick stage. Only a few more seconds to go now until it's in position to deploy Synspective satellite to orbit. Let's watch this simulation of what that payload deployment will look like.
And if you're just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad. We are counting down the final few seconds, waiting payload deployment of Owl for 1 for Owl, the 5th Synspective satellite into low Earth orbit. We are now just seconds away. Deployment expected 57 minutes, 12 seconds into flight. 2, 1. And we should have deployment of Synspective, waiting for confirmation of that deployment. And there we have it. Deployment confirmed of Synspective Sprints 5 into low Earth orbit. That is going to do it for us here today for our live launch coverage of Owl for 1 for Owl. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe so you never miss another live launch coverage, docking, undocking, or return to Earth. Here at the Launchpad, it's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow. We hope to see you back here tomorrow, bright and early, for Falcon 9 launch of CRS NG-21, a Cygnus mission cargo resupply to the International Space Station, and then back on Sunday for another Falcon 9 with Starlink 11-1, the first ever flight of the 11th group of the Starlink constellation. It's a launch weekend, 4 days, 4 launches, and we hope to see you here each one of those. Make sure you join our TLP Discord. That's where our community hangs out in between streams, and head over to the Launchpad shop to get your latest TLP launch gear, prints, and posters as well. But from our TLP Canada studio, that's going to do it. We'll see you next time because space is better together. Goodbye.